What is poppin', YouTube? It is Sydney Island here. That's Island with the Y, not an S. And y'all, I'm coming to y'all with a video that I wouldn't say is long overdue because I don't have to film something if I'm not ready to film it. It's been a year since this particular situation happened that I'm about to talk about. It's 2023. God, I feel like something's in my eye. I think it's makeup. It's 2023, January. And this happened, it started in November of 2022, and then it ended in January of, I'm sorry, it happened in November of 2021, and then it ended in January of 2022. So it's officially been a whole year since I've been at what I call the cult center. This is what I call the place, the cult center. Okay, so to just protect myself and my location and the people involved in the story, I'm not gonna tell y'all what the name of the place is, and I'm not gonna tell y'all the names of the people or anything like that. I'm not gonna, give away the location or anything like that because it doesn't even matter at the end of the day. It's really just about the lessons that I learned from this particular situation. Did y'all miss me, by the way? Y'all like my twist? I did it myself. Oh my god, girl. You got the little red highlights in it, girl. You styling it profiling. Okay, so anyways, let me get to the video, y'all. I miss talking to the camera, by the way. I've been you see the noise. Okay, sorry y'all. I live with people, so noise happens. So I was in a cult and I didn't even know it. So, and I'm gonna read the definition of a cult, of what a cult is, in the Webster's New World Dictionary, and then I'm gonna put another, the internet definition of cult. I'm gonna put that on the screen too. So the Webster says that a cult is a system of religious worship or ritual. That's the first definition. The second is devoted attachment to a person or principle. Oh my gosh, that really made me have a deeper understanding of the situation. Devoted attachment to a person, and that's exactly what was going on. All of those women had a devoted attachment to the man who ran this shelter. So let me just start off, let me just get into how it all happened. So I had a really huge, nasty argument with my family, and it pushed me out. Like I was miserable. I was dealing with vertigo, which I'm just now on medication for vertigo. It's a whole long story. I don't even want to get into that. But I was dizzy all the time. I was stressed, and people said that the dizziness was from stress, which it probably was. Um, and I was just going through a lot. I was going through a lot of depression. I was having suicidal thoughts. I don't like getting into this because I haven't really opened up about it yet, but I guess I need to share my story with y'all. Like, how can I make the world a better place if I don't share my story? So I was cutting, I was like cutting my wrist and stuff because I was depressed. And I just didn't want to go to work anymore. My job wasn't paying me that much. They barely ever scheduled me. I wasn't making a lot of money. I just felt sad. So and I was living at home, and my family, I was the black sheep. My family had a lot of animosity towards me for, something dumb that I did when I was in my early 20s. I was like 21. And it's like kind of crazy that people, that you would hang on to something. So that it was just so immature. You could tell that I was in a very immature mindset when I made that mistake. I'm almost 27 now. People do dumb stuff at that age. That's the age where people make the most silliest mistakes. And you still make silly mistakes in your 40s and 50s. Like, who's to say when is the best time to make mistakes in life? But um we had a whole argument, and then the night before, funny enough, I literally manifested myself out, and I said to myself, take me out of here. I can't be here anymore. I don't feel like I'm learning. I don't feel like I'm evolving. I don't feel like I'm growing. Just, God, take me out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. So, literally, the next morning, we got into a huge fight. And I won't go into detail about what it was about because it's kind of irrelevant. The whole thing is really just about the cult situation, not really about my family. Um, so, long story short, I left. after this argument because it was so bad that I didn't want to live there anymore. So I was in a few places. I stayed with my friend for like a week or two, and then I left staying with her, and then I went to like a mental health facility, because I was cutting and I was depressed. God, I wish this freaking something's in my eye. But I went to a mental health facility and I stayed there. My friend suggested that I go because she saw that I was literally struggling like really bad. Like I was going through all this depression and my family was jumping on me, you know, pretty much for not wanting to go to work because I was physically sick and I just didn't want to go anymore. And I was also mentally sick at the same time. And they didn't know that because I kept a lot of it inside. So she was like, go to so and so. So I went to this mental health facility. And by the way, I did tell this story in a previous video, but it was I was talking about a lot of other stuff in that video. So I just kind of want to like redo it and go into deeper detail. And so, um, long story short, this mental health facility sent me to this homeless shelter, which I call the cult center. And in the beginning, I thought this man was a really, really good man. I thought he was a hero. It was this 63-year-old older white dude. Um, and I gotta give him a name. I'm gonna call him, mm, I don't know. I'm gonna call him, God, like who cares what the name is? I'm gonna call him Mr. Tate. I'm gonna call him Mr. Tate, okay? Because we always call him Mr. So and so. We always call him Mr. by his first name. So I'm calling him Mr. Tate. Okay, so this man, Mr. Tate, everybody in the shelter, this was a homeless shelter slash halfway house. It was a house for women. A lot of women were sent there because they got in trouble with the law and they had to stay there for a certain amount of months, do their time, do community service or whatever. And it also served as a homeless shelter for women who didn't have anywhere to go, like me. So I wasn't there for addictions and stuff. A lot of women were there because they had addiction issues and, they've been abused and they just wanted to escape from all of that. And so they would go to this particular shelter. And, y'all, this experience kind of traumatized me a little bit. And I'm making this video because I really need therapy for this experience. And I never really got therapy for it. And me talking about it on camera, this is my therapy. So I thought this man was everything. I thought Mr. Tate was my savior. I thought Mr. Tate was going to save me from myself. I thought Mr. Tate was going to save me from my my immaturity and from my lack of ability to make better decisions in life. Like I was deceived. And this man was a master manipulator. He was really good at manipulating women into thinking that he had their best interests in mind and that he really loved them and really cared about him. And it's already weird and creepy that it's a women's shelter and then there's no men there except for him. And there's a no boyfriend rule. Like no men can be there except for him. And I'm making this video because the fact that I just stumbled across this situation that kind of psychologically messed me up a little. I wouldn't say it messed me up, but it definitely opened my eyes to the real world and how sinister and creepy and messed up people can be. Because this shelter was sinister. The man had a very sinister way about him, and his ego, his ego made it so that it was hard to notice. You know what I'm saying? Because he played himself up, and I have reason to believe this man was an Aquarius. I'm sorry to all the Aquariuses out there, but I met another man a couple months later that had the same personality traits as him, and he was an Aquarius, like exactly the same, like feeling like he needs to belittle women to make himself feel like the man. And that was Mr. Tate's way of running the shelter. He was verbally abusive as I don't know what. Like there was this one time where this woman who was like 44, he yelled at her and screamed at her because she talked over him. And I don't even think she did it on purpose. And he'd be like, I'm the boss around here. Who do you think you're talking to? Close your mouth. Blah, blah. Yelling at these women. He would yell at me and he would hold all these meetings against me when it would be over something so small. And he would like hold these meetings and it would just all just be to embarrass me, to make me feel like crap about myself. And the reason why this situation is so important to me is because it's one of those things where it's a trap and you don't even know it, you know, because you're so busy being lost. And he would tell me that I was broken. And in my mind, that's a definite form of manipulation. If somebody tell you that you're broken, the cat wants to get out. Say hello to Beep. She wanna be in a video. You wanna be in a video. Ooh, my baby. My river darling. I love her. I love her. Okay, back to the video. Ooh. The thing that really stands out to me about this whole experience was I watched these three psychic sisters named Trinity Oracles. Yeah, I watch a lot of alternative entertainment. And they made this video called Signs of a Fake Guru. Signs of a Fake Guru, okay? And I watched that video, and literally everything that they said, it gave me chills. Like I had to keep pausing the video just to think about everything that they said. And every single trait this man had. He had all the traits of a fake guru. And mind you, this man was a pastor, okay? That's why I have an issue with Christianity. Because people are like, I'm Christian, I'm Christian. Ooh, God saved me. And the next thing you know, they're ruining somebody's life, all in the name of Jesus. Anybody else see that is freaking weird and freaky? They use the Bible to manipulate. And they used to do that to the slaves back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Watch 12 Years a Slave. But anyways, that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother video. But the first 2 months of this experience, I really thought that I was healing and that I was getting help and that things were good. I was living in the shelter. He gave me a book about Jesus. He wanted me to read this book about Jesus, and he was really getting to my head. Like, really, he was trying to change me and trying to make me not me anymore. And it got to a point where he told me, because y'all know me, like, if you look at my channel, I have so many astrology videos up. Like, I have been studying astrology since I was 18 years old. I was about to say 8 years old. Since I was 18 years old, and I'm almost 27. Um, and astrology has just been a super fun thing for me. I've connected with people that way. It's always just been something that I've been into. Me and my sisters would have like long conversations about it. Like it was my thing. It was cool. And he would convince me that it was like Satan's thing. Like astrology was like of the devil, and that it was dark magic and sorcery and stuff like that. And I started to believe him. And I told him, I made the mistake of telling him that I had a YouTube channel talking about astrology. And he was like, that's dangerous. See, that's dangerous. You're spreading da 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 da. You're spreading negative energy, whatever the hell he was saying. Just stuff that, to me, looking back on it, was just another way to manipulate me and brainwash me and to try to stop me from being myself. If astrology is energetically problematic, let me discover that on my own as an adult. It is not your place to tell somebody that something is evil or bad or not good for them unless you have had an experience with that particular thing. This man never a day in his raggedy ass life researched astrology. He knows nothing about it. Not a thing. He don't know nothing about it. He's not the first Christian who would I'm sorry y'all, if I'm doing this weird thing with my eye, it's because something is like, this makeup is in my eye. But he's not the first Christian to pretty much say that astrology was this and astrology was that bad thing without ever having researched it or studied it on their own. How can you say that something is bad when you never even looked into it a day in your life? You see something from a distance and then say, oh, that's bad. How do you even know if you don't even know anything about it? You don't even know the root of astrology. You don't know what astrology does for people. My videos, a lot of people leave comments on my astrology videos, and they would say, this video helps me to understand myself better. Now I understand why I am the way that I am. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that it's wise to look at astrology like it's your religion and that you should worship it. I don't think you should do that, because I don't think you should really like worship anything. And that was a huge part of my journey. So for the first 2 months, he was pretty much convincing me that everything about me was wrong. He was convincing me that being bisexual was wrong, that work studying astrology was wrong, and that me meditating was wrong, me wanting to learn about chakras was wrong. Like it was this incident where oh my god, that was kind of this is gonna have to be a maybe 2 or 3 part video, because this experience spanned over 3 months. I was here for 3 months. So yeah, he pretty much, he was very mean. Like his mouth was just so mean, to say that he's a pastor and he loves Christ so much and everything, just about being a good person and the holy person, and he verbally abuses the women, and every time he talks to them he always has to make them feel inferior. He always has to make them feel unintelligent and dumb. Any chance that he got to make the women feel bad about themselves, he snatched it up, he ate it up. And I could see, like, he made it clear that he got entertainment out of it. And that was the same thing that the psychic sisters was saying about a fake guru, and they said they had a similar experience, with a fake guru. And oh, the one thing that got me was when they said that the guru, the leader, would manipulate the women into having into arguing with each other and into not liking each other, and like starting drama with the women. And he would do that a lot. Like he would start the drama between the women a lot. And it's like, why would you want to do that? These women who have a history of being physically and verbally abused since childhood. These are a lot of women who have passed, because in the biopic, or like the description of the center on the website, it says that this is a center for battered and abused women. And I didn't even know that that was really what it was when I first came there, but that's what it was. And knowing that, him having the knowledge, because it's his shelter, he put that in there. You know that these women have a history of abuse, and you continue to abuse them. And I had made a friend outside of the shelter, because I met him on like a dating app. The good thing was we was at least allowed to have our phones, which I didn't have the same experience at another shelter, and I'll make a video about that one. But we was allowed to like have our phones, and I got on a dating app and I met this male friend, and I would tell him about all the stuff that was going on in the shelter, and he was like, these women are trying to escape men abusing them, and then they go to the shelter and have this man continue to verbally abuse them. And I have a lot of anger. Like, it's been a year and I still fantasize about just telling this man off, like just cussing this man out, and not even cussing him out, but just wording things in a way that really gets to him, like he did me. You know what I'm saying? And I was 25 years old. This dude is way bigger than me, way older than me, and the only thing he could think to do is to try to make me feel bad about any and everything that he possibly can. And whenever I would make a face that he didn't like, or I would do something he didn't like, then he would threaten to kick me out. And then that like kept me on edge. Like I was always nervous. Like I didn't have anywhere to go. I wasn't getting along with my family. And he told me not to work. Like who does that? You would tell me not to work, that I needed to stay home and heal. And a lot of the women, when you would come there for the first month, you weren't even allowed to leave. They called it a blackout period, and you weren't allowed to leave for the first month. It's like he's trying his hardest to disconnect you from the outside world so that he can get into your head and say, I'm the best thing that ever happened to you. And that's what he said to me. He said, it was in a meeting in front of all the women. He said it in a way that is so manipulative and sinister, and he said it in this way. He was like, the worst thing that could happen to you is if I stop helping you. And it's just so stupid, because that was the best thing that happened to me. The best thing that happened to me was leaving his presence. And that's manipulation. And it just made me think, like, women who are in abusive relationships with men, I always thought to myself, on the outside of it, I always thought, why don't you just break up with him? It's that easy, just get out of it. But when the man is a master manipulator and he is so used to it, because this man has been running the shelter for like 30, 40 years, so he's used to it. He knows exactly how to manipulate a woman. He knows exactly what to say to a woman to get her to submit to him and be who he wants her to be. because he was a master at it, a master manipulator. This man was highly intelligent. That's why I have reason to believe he was an Aquarius, okay? So that was a mouthful. Whew, boy, I just said a lot. I need to sit back and smoke a joint real quick. That was a mouthful. I'm gonna have to make a part two to this video. But I'm making this video to warn women because he's not the first male that I came across who had these qualities. I almost just very recently, and that's why I'm making this video now. I'm deciding to make it now. Just recently, I almost got into like an actual relationship with an older man who thought like him, who felt that men were superior to women. And he would say the man is the prize, the woman's not the prize. But anyways, back to the cult. So Mr. Tate, what a wonderful man. he would do all these little mind games with the women and turn us against each other, and he would make the women not like me. And then he told the women, tell her to close her mouth. When she says anything to y'all, tell her not to say anything. Tell her she can't. Of course the women didn't do it because like they already saw how feisty I could be. And I'm a goddamn Taurus, okay? You can't shut us up. Like, no matter how hard you try, we're not going to shut up. Like, we're leaders. And he said that God gave him the gift of being able to read into people's hearts. And he even said it himself that I was born to be a leader. So if I'm a leader, why would I submit to a leader? No, I don't do that. That's not what I do. I have a YouTube channel because I feel like I can be the leader that I was born to be in peace. And I can do it in my own way. And I don't have to have anybody tell me that it's something wrong with the way that I'm speaking and expressing myself, because there is nothing wrong with the way that I'm speaking. And there's nothing wrong with the way that I'm expressing myself. But my whole life, I've been convinced that there was always something wrong with me ever since childhood. And he knew that there was an issue with that growing up. And he played on that. He played on that and he used that to manipulate me because I had confided in him a lot about a lot of stuff because I saw him as a father figure. Because I didn't have a father, y'all. I didn't have a father figure. I didn't have a dad growing up. The last time I saw my father was when I was 3 years old. And I didn't have any brothers. I had one male cousin. We didn't see him that often. And he was way older than us. And he was also kind of mean. So didn't really have a lot of positive male influences in my life. So I got sucked in, and I was like, oh my gosh, this man, he's providing for me. Like this phone that I'm filming on, he got me this phone. And he gave us a really good Christmas and he bought us all these things and these materials. But I realized that it was just a way to it was another manipulation tactic. Like, do I feel that this man had a little bit of love and care for us? Absolutely. But did I feel like he was abusing his power and using his power to do, he had an ulterior motive behind it all because he didn't really help me. He claimed that he wanted to help me so much, but as soon as I behaved in a way that he didn't like, he was ready to kick me out. And then he did kick me out. Eventually, at the end of the story, which I'm going to have to make a part two, he kicked me out at the very end. And that's a whole nother story time. But I'm going to talk for a couple more minutes and then I'm going to end it and make a part two because there's so much more to this experience, y'all. Like, a female came in that was a starseed like me and turned this whole experience upside down. And that's when I realized that this man was not the good man that I thought he was. But I got notes, but I didn't really put a lot. I didn't write a lot of notes, but the reason why I called a cult was because of the way that the women worshipped this man. And in the fake guru video with Trinity Oracles warning you about fake gurus, they said that there's always one woman that follows the man around. As soon as he gets up, the woman gets up with him. Y'all need to watch that video. I'm gonna put the link for that video in the description box. And it was this one woman who was there for 7 months. She didn't have to be there that long. This woman was in her 40s with a whole kid and a husband, and she wasn't forced to be there. Some women had to be there. They were court ordered by the law to be there, but she chose to be there because she was obsessed with this man. Okay, I'm supposed to be looking at the camera. Of course, I would choose the 25th minute of the video to finally look at the camera. Hey, hi. And she was just like the woman. She would just talk about him like he was the second coming of Christ. You know, when I first came to the shelter, she was like, Mr. Tate is a man of God. He would never do anything to hurt anybody. He is such a good man. And this place is like an escape from all of the troubles in the world. And she was like she was possessed or something. Stop. She keep trying to eat at the chili. You know what? You do too much. But anyways, this is, you know what? I don't care if this sounds racist. Of course, the black women, not all the black women though, but a lot of the black women, we saw that it was something weird going on. We all felt that it was a little like creepy. Um, I certainly felt that it was something creepy. Maybe I can make a whole video. Maybe I don't have to do a part two. I don't know. This is a long story. So, a lot happened. A lot happened, and a lot of the women worship this man. And one of the older ladies, she literally, the lady in her 60s, she's literally older than the man who runs the shelter. She felt that she needed to get permission from him to get a car with her own money. Her own money. It wasn't asking for him to buy. Let me look at the camera. Let me look at y'all. She wasn't asking him to buy her a car. She was asking permission from him to buy her own car. She felt she needed permission from him to do that. And if you ever would try to speak ill of this man, none of the women would really let you. They would look at you like, oh, you're so ungrateful. Mr. Tate does so much for the women in the house. You know, how could you be so ungrateful? You know, if you ever spoke ill about this man. And I feel like he did it. He did all that stuff. He did all that stuff to make it harder to speak ill of him. And so that other women can like, I feel like it was just a whole scheme. It was a whole game, you know, because when he would have his little meetings against one woman, he didn't always only have meetings against me. There was other women that he would target and have meetings against and try to turn all the women against this one woman, like cults do. Um, and wait, what was I gonna say? Oh shit, hold on, let me try to remember. To be honest, I don't even remember which direction I was going in, but long story short, there was this one woman who every time she would open her mouth about him, like I felt like she was in love with this man. I know she had a crush or something. Even though he was like 20 years older than her, it didn't even matter. Like she loved him, like she was in love. And I just felt in my I'm thinking to myself like, if this man passes away, if this man flat out just dies, because the man already had a heart attack. If this man flat out dies, what the hell are you gonna do? Because she depended on him for everything. She was super dependent on him. And it was just really honestly kind of scary and weird to see that, you know, the basis of the shelter was to suppress the colorful souls, to suppress people who are have their own mind and they think differently than you. He made a girl who was Muslim, he forced her to go to Christian Bible study. It didn't matter what religion you were. He would force you to go to Bible study and study Christian principles. He didn't care. It didn't matter to him. He didn't want diversity. He just wanted everybody to be like him. And to me, that's a cult. It's like something like a negative sorority. That I can't even be Muslim. I can't study astrology. I can't believe in chakras. And wait till I get to part two about when the other girl comes in and it kind of heightens my psychic abilities, and it felt like I was on a plantation field and he was a slave master and I was a slave. Like it really felt like that, and no joke. Like his energy, the whole thing. It was like this man has the mindset. River, oh my god, she getting on my nerves. This man literally has the mindset of a slave owner. It's like, does he see us as slaves? I wondered. I wondered. But that's part one. I kind of had a lot of distrust for people after this experience and distrust for men, unfortunately. But I don't feel like all men are like that. You know, like I have good men in my life. And shout out to my friend Jonathan. You know, if it wasn't for him, I don't know how I would view the male species. You know, but yeah, I'm gonna make a part two. I don't have enough space, so I'm gonna have to, you know, take this video off and then make a part two. But that's part one of me being in what I thought was just a Christian homeless shelter that actually turned out to be a cult where you just couldn't have your own identity and you couldn't be your own self. And if you showed too much personality and too much sass, you would be scolded for it and punished for it, and then he would give you extra chores. And he scolded me because I said I went to go meditate and do music, which is what brings me peace. He was mad because I didn't go read the Jesus book that he gave me. I couldn't win. I couldn't win in this man's eyes. And now that I'm older and I've been through what I've been through, I don't give a damn if I couldn't win in your eyes, Mr. Tate. You don't run me, and you do not own me, and you do not own any of the women in that shelter that you're running. Okay? They have free will. I know, and you know they do, but you just don't want them to know it. And it's okay, because karma is real. And there's a special place for people like you, Mr. Tate. A special place. Okay? So many times, Mr. Tate, I just wanted you to know that you are not God. That's the thing that really made me really angry, was that you felt that you were God. And that when I said that I had a vision about something, you told me I pretty much that it wasn't real because you didn't give it to me. You didn't give me the visions. You know what I'm saying? It's a long story, but it's a long story to even go into that whole thing. But we was judged for every little thing, and I felt like I was in a prison. Like I didn't have any rights. We was all sleeping in bunk beds, and whenever they wanted you to move bunk beds, you would have to move and take all of your stuff and move to another bunk bed, move to this room, that room, and it was never stable, and it was very inconvenient and uncomfortable. And I'm not complaining or acting like I'm a victim because I did choose to go to the shelter, but at the end of the day, I didn't have anywhere else to go. I didn't have any money. I didn't have, I was struggling. So I guess if I could say anything to other women who are just out there and they don't have anywhere to go, and you're just kind of stuck in a situation like this, I would say, above all else, guard your heart and guard your mind. Guard your mind most of all, because once somebody gets into your mind, they have you. So guard your mind and know that you are enough. And don't let somebody make you feel bad for being unique. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what I would say about a situation like this. Don't let a stranger take you from you. If you have a curiosity towards something and you're interested in something and you have a passion for something, go for it. And don't let somebody make you feel, oh, it jumped. Don't let somebody make you feel bad for being who you are. And don't let somebody manipulate you and get into your mind and make you feel like that you have to say certain things. You have to do certain things, because I've done that and I would always regret it. Because then I feel like I'm just a slave. Like I don't even have my own free will. So, looking back, if I could do anything differently, I would stand up for myself more, and I wouldn't have allowed myself to be so afraid of him. Like all the women was just so scared of him. I would definitely have not been as afraid of him, and I would have stood up to him, and I would have clapped back, and I would have told him what I knew instead of acting like I didn't know anything, and letting him convince me that I had no wisdom, because he would always say that. He would always say, you're not wise, because he would kept trying to convince me I had no wisdom and no intelligence to offer. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people who meet me and my friends and my family, they all say that I'm pretty wise. Like they all say I'm wise beyond my years. And even some of the women in the shelter said that I was mature for my age. So he kind of was just making shit up. And don't get me wrong, I've done some dumb stuff, and I definitely didn't apply wisdom in a lot of situations in the past. But it wasn't his place to really say those things to me. Despite that, it really wasn't his place. So screw you. I was about to put up my middle finger. I'm putting my middle finger. I'm gonna put my hand in front of it because I don't want to be censored. But screw you, Mr. Tate. Screw you. Okay. So yeah. But I love you because you taught me how to value myself and how to stand up for myself. So yeah. Bye. I'm gonna make a part 2. And I love y'all. Subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell next to the subscribe button, and give this video a thumbs up, because those thumbs up really help me. Okay, I love y'all. Love yourself more than anything. And women, don't feel that you have to submit to a man just because he feels that you have to submit to a man. If you feel uncomfortable around a man, that's your intuition telling you Something ain't right about this motherfucker right here. Something ain't right about this motherfucker right here. That's your intuition. Listen to it. Your intuition is God. Okay? Bye bye.